Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Miles Morales. Now, this sick article came out about the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, not a lot of news giving channels have seen this article, so I'm super excited to give it to you guys. So, let's get into it and stick for a surprise at the end of this video. But this is going to be very interesting and very cool. So, let's get it on. Okay. Alright, let's start. This is on MovieWeb.com, so let's see if just type it in the URL and Junk will get it on, so let's go. The finished film has a terrible bit at the end. Well, quote, the finished film has a terrible bit at the end where Peter quits Spider-Man for a bunch of months, and this time passes in a montage. The same thing happens here, but instead of finding a tape of Gwen's super on-the-nose graduation speech, Peter is approached by his dad. Yes, Richard Parker shows back up at the end of the script and tells Peter he's been watching him for years. He's seen him become Spider-Man and everything. It's Richard who convinces Peter to become Spider-Man again. And in his last scene in the movie, he tells Pete, with great power comes great responsibility. Finally working a famous phrase into this new series now. This explains so much for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 franchise. This first explains the deleted scene. Peter meets his dad. That's at the ending of the film. At least they shot it. I'd like to see that. But yeah, it also reveals that he's actually alive. He didn't die in the plane crash. I'm sure he explains how during this scene, the deleted scene. I'm sure he explains how. But that is so crazy. Like, it's just wow. Let's move it on, man. We also get some details about the scenes featuring Mary Jane Watson, who was played by Shailene Woodley before being cut from the sequel entirely. Quote, as we all know, Shailene Woodley was cut as Mary Jane Watson, shot some days, and then was cut from the movie. The original script includes all the MJ scenes, and she was introduced as the Parker's new next-door neighbor. Her dad is an abusive drunk, and she's a waitress who builds motorcycles in her spare time. She has a Spider-Man tattoo on her wrist, and she clearly is interested in Peter, who is totally hung up on Gwen. At one point, Spider-Man confronts MJ's dad, telling him to lay off the girl. At the end of the script, Gwen comes to Peter's house before heading to London. He's gone to, but she meets the new neighbor. They have a friendly exchange, and MJ says that always attracts to heads, and asks Gwen what her advice is to get a guy like Peter. She says, date a nerd, Gwen says before heading off to die, basically giving MJ the okay with Peter. Now, this scene, I'd love to hear more about Shailene Woodley's part in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Her being cut, I don't know why, but they've all had different reasons, all these different articles. This is the real reason Shailene Woodley was cut. Mark West said so-and-so, so she must have got cut. Nah. At least we get to hear about her scenes. This also reveals another deleted scene. Is Peter home? That's where she goes and Gwen asks Aunt May, she's like, is Peter home? And she's like, no, he's doing whatever it is he does. She's like, right. It's in the Peter and Gwen featurette. You just look at that. Moving on. Now, this bit is really interesting. The Daily Bugle editor J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, the original Spider-Man trilogy, was also featured in the early script along with Robbie Robertson. Now, this is really cool. Quote, J. Jonah is in the original script as is Robbie Robertson. We see Peter, who is a student at Empire State University, bringing his first Spider-Man pictures to J. Jonah Jameson, who gives him a tour around the Daily Bugle. J. Jonah complains that the internet is killing the newspaper business. True. Later, Spidey and Electro's first fight send them crashing through the Daily Bugle offices and printing presses. Now, I would have loved to see Mark Webb's version of J. Jonah Jameson, because we all love the J. Jonah Jameson and the Sam Raimi's trilogy. Even though like he was hilarious, even though he didn't crack any jokes, like he was still hilarious. So I wanted to see Mark Webb's version to see if he what he was gonna do differently. I think J. Jonah Jameson is still like one of the best things about the Spider-Man trilogy, the old one. So yeah, that's good to know, man. That's really good to know. Even though in the movie, he sends his pictures through the mail, as an email. So moving on. Okay. Another major difference involves Peter giving his blood to Harry Osborn instead of Harry injecting himself with the spider venom. And the Green Goblin suit is giving a better explanation. Quote, in the original script, Peter actually gives his blood to Harry Osborn. This is a huge improvement over the finished film where Harry just injects himself with the spider venom. In the original script, the Goblin suit is better explained. It isn't for military use, but was specifically built in secret for Norman Osborn. When Richard Parker wouldn't give him his blood, the Parker DNA still being the key to it all, the suit went into Norman's boathouse where Harry finds it. Now, this is really interesting. So, even though one of my favorite scenes in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is when Peter denies Harry his blood in the spider costume, I still think it would have made a lot more sense if he did. I mean, you never know unless you try, and if you never know, because if his blood goes into his and he can self-heal, that means the Osborns are free. You know, they don't have to worry about the sickness, but Spider-Man had to worry about some extra stuff, so that's why he's got a new villain. I mean, if you just gave him your blood in the first place, there wouldn't be a goblin. Think about it. There's the scene where Peter says, no, I'm not giving you my blood. So he runs off. Harry hates Spider-Man. But he's getting really desperate. So he goes down to Special Projects and he injects himself with his spider venom, therefore creating another villain where it mutates and he goes wrong and he hates Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, you could have saved yourself, man. You could have had one less villain. This one, you just made an arch enemy. So, whatever. Whatever. It makes no sense. Moving on. The death of Gwen Stacy unfolds the same in this draft, although there is one final line delivered by Gwen that wasn't seen in the movie. Quote, it plays out almost the same in the original script, but Gwen, back broken, hangs on to life long enough to demand that Peter never give up. Because this is the same character who promptly broke his promise to Captain Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man. Peter quits being Spider-Man in the next scene. Now, this is really, really, really interesting. I don't like this version, though. Let me explain. There'd be two Stacys who would have made Peter promise something, first of all. Second of all, I just like the idea of Gwen's death being like a sudden snap, just like that. Usually there's like a 1 minute window where Spider-Man can go in and save a person, but Gwen, she was gone just like that, goodbye. So I don't want to hear Peter, stay Spider-Man, the world needs you. No, that'd be the second Stacy to have a final word to Peter before they die. So I like the sudden death way better. Moving on. This report also reveals that Rhino, Paul Giamatti of course, was relegated to more of a cameo appearance towards the end and wasn't involved with the truck heist at the beginning of the movie. The young boy in the film who was seen wearing a spider costume, standing up to Rhino, wasn't in this draft as well. There was also a 1-year gap between Peter and Gwen's high school graduation and the rest of the movie, which better established that they're both college students now. So one part is, they changed it. I mean, Gwen's going to college. Peter hasn't said anything about college, so, about the young boy not being in the early draft, I like the little kid. You know, he brought a little sentimentality to the ending of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I really loved that, that whole concept. So yeah, moving on. Now when I saw this is the last bit of news, by the way. When I saw this, I was tripping at Sony like so hard. Like, I was like so mad and angry that they cut this. It's about Max Dillon. Read on. The script also gives more detail about Max Dillon, who lives at home with his handicapped mother. After he so-called dies in the incident that turned him into Electro, Max sees his mother actually standing up. Being a handicapped mother, she stands up while getting a big payoff from Oscorp, which sets off his Times Square confrontation with Spider-Man. Wow. That's 2 scenes that you cut from Max Dillon's character. A big problem they had, the critics had with The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was that we didn't really feel for Max like we were supposed to. So cutting 2 big scenes that would bring him better character development is really not a good idea. So, just, oh my gosh. They really did that wrong there. I hope that's in the deleted scenes. I hope so. I mean, even though we got the 13 different names, I really do, man. And it also says Dr. Ratha was supposed to appear in the script, despite being killed in the deleted scenes from The Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know what he was supposed to do. I mean, he was extra. He had really served no purpose in The Amazing Spider-Man. So, yeah, I mean, that's the end of it. So, the original script versus the final draft. The original script is way more interesting. So, I think I'd love to see like a director's cut. Like, I want to see this draft put into films, you know what I'm saying? Even though some of it wasn't shot, like, I'm real interested. And about the thank you all for watching. Please leave a like and favorite, comment, subscribe. Let's have a conversation in the comments. And before I forget, let's do that surprise. Now, The Amazing Spider-Man 3 doesn't start filming till October 3rd. Now, I was thinking, since this is just a Spidey channel, I was like, man, my channel will be pretty much empty until then. And do you guys like my new Miles Morales icon? You know, that one's a keeper. She's a keeper. But, so what I was thinking of doing is, I was thinking of getting to, like, some Avengers 2 news or something, but I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. You know what I'm gonna get into, guys? I'm getting to gaming. I'm going to get, Miles Morales is going to have a gaming part of his channel. So I think the first game that I might play for you guys could be The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or whatever. I'll have to show you guys. But thank you all for watching. I can't leave the link for movieweb.com, but I can put it in the comments. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'm out for now. Miles Morales signing out.